So we are really, really thrilled today here at Global Cleveland for Welcoming Week to be joined by the one and only Julie Tromba, who is our chef today. And you can tell from her amazing shirt that she feels Slovenia. As many people know, I am also Slovenian. I don't know if I've ever mentioned that to anybody, maybe once or 5,000 times. There's a lot of sayings that we have, if you put a certain three group of people together, they form a government. If you put another three group of people together, they form a business. If you put three Slovenians together, they form a choir. Slovenians love to sing. We love to cook. We love to enjoy each other's company. Slovenia is a beautiful nation on the coast of the Adriatic, located between Italy, Austria, Hungary, and Croatia. Those are our bordering nations. And Slovenia is a very diverse geography. It has mountains, it has beaches, it has beautiful farmlands, it has valleys, but mostly it has some really warm and loving people. People in Slovenia love to share. They love to invite people in, very hospitable. Slovenia is also known for the environment. Ljubljana has been voted as one of the greenest capitals in Europe, in the European Union. The nation of Slovenia is actually second only to Norway in terms of its acreage of forests and per capita. And Slovenia is a place that did not technically exist as a nation up until 1991. In 1991, the people of Slovenia declared independence. And as many of you know, the city of Cleveland is the largest community of Slovenians outside of Slovenia. So there is a real close tie between Cleveland and the capital of Ljubljana. We're sister cities. There's a close tie between the nation of Slovenia and Cleveland. And Slovenia has always been an ally of the United States. And a lot of people in Cleveland can trace their ancestry back to Slovenia. The last census had, I think, somewhere around 80 or 90,000 people who claimed some part of their ancestry being Slovenian. So today we are hearing from wonderful, wonderful Julie, and what she's going to prepare for us is something that is very delicious. And so, Julie, if you'd introduce yourself to our viewers, and thanks, Julie, for being part of Welcoming Week's Cooking at Noon. Julie?
Oh, hi everyone. Welcome to my home. Just like Joe, I'm a super, super proud Slovenian. And as he pointed out earlier when we were talking, my t-shirt says I feel Slovenia, although this will probably show it backwards, but it's the only country that has the name love in its title. And trust me, the Slovenian people are lovely. I love Slovenia. I've been fortunate to be there numerous times, and you asked, if you give me a ticket anywhere around the whole entire world, say I'll give you a free trip, guess what? I'm picking Slovenia. I don't care about, I've been to Hawaii, I've been to many places, but you asked me, and that's truly where my heart is. And of course, it's a beautiful country, but more so the people. I have so many friends there, and the people are so hospitable, and I can't rave enough about it. Anyhow, what I'm baking today is strudel, and we're going to make, there's different varieties you can make. Today we're going to do apple strudel, and strudel is more of a Central European dish. There's, different styles, different types. They make it in Austria, they make it in Germany, they make it everything, but they make it in a lot of different countries. However, I guess here in Cleveland, one of the things that you go to any event in Cleveland, be it a wedding, be it some kind of a celebration, it's kind of the staple dessert that you get. It's a recipe that has been shared by numerous generations. It's, I recently just had a night where my daughter and I made tons of strudels, and she said to me, she goes, you know what, Mom? Nowadays, she says, I don't need to bake it with you. She says, I can find everything on the internet. And I said, but you know what? Yeah, you can find every recipe on the internet. However, until you actually get your hands in the dough and not that it's time consuming, but it helps because you have to let the dough rest. And just like when you make breads or anything, a lot of times you got rising and stuff. This isn't rising, but it just needs to rest. It needs to come together. The recipe for the dough is fairly easy. You're just using like 4 cups of flour. Well, it depends obviously on your quantity, but you're using flour, you're using water, a little bit of salt and egg, and some oil and butter. That's it. And I mix everything on my KitchenAid, because trust me, I'm no gourmet cook. And if I can't put it in the KitchenAid, I just kind of don't make it. Just like washing dishes. If it doesn't go in the dishwasher, forget it. I'm not using it. Anyhow, the biggest trick with strudel is to get the dough the correct consistency. Also, you can't have too much of a draft. You can't have it be humid. You know, all the old wives' tales as grandmas and moms taught us to make it. You know, you have to just have, it affects the way the strudel stretches. So we started with a bowl of dough, and the intent here is to stretch this dough paper thin, because strudel is paper thin dough, or almost like a phyllo dough. Some people cheat and use that, but it's just not the same. You stretch it paper thin, and another little, what's the word I want to use? They say that you should be able to read a newspaper through the bottom of the dough, and that's how thin you need to stretch it. And when you can read a newspaper through there, then you know that your dough is good. Anyhow, what I did, I made my dough flour sheet. We're working on a flour sheet, got a lot of flour here on my hands. Spread it out. I let it rest a few minutes. I put a little bit of butter on there, and then after a short amount of time, you can start stretching. And you need to be patient. When you stretch, you don't want to poke your fingers through the dough. It has to be like smooth outside movements. And you walk around the table numerous times until you can get it the proper consistency and that thinness, you know. So
now, Julie, every time you walk around the table, do you take a drink of wine when you do that?
Right. You know how it would turn out if that were the case. But looks like the dough's somewhat cooperating. Obviously, if you pull too hard, poke a finger through, you're going to get a hole. Now, sometimes you can patch a little and work with that. A little hole here and there isn't going to make a huge difference. But, yeah, even if the dough cooperates or not. See, and it's very, if you can see me stretching, you can get, it's very, very elastic if it's made properly. That's the key to it. That's the key. I'll let you take over and talk, Joe, while I'm stretching a little bit here.
Wow, Julie, that's really beautiful. And Julie, I'll just ask you this question. Strudel is such a wonderful dish. Is there a special time of year that in your family where strudel is more served? I know it's something, you know, that you can get, you know, throughout the year, but it does have a special kind of Slovenian feeling to it.
You know what? In my house, my mom was a Slovenian caterer, so it honestly was a staple. Anytime we get together, anytime we gather together, celebration, or somebody comes in, and she always, you know, strudel also freezes really well.
Yeah.
So, you know, here it was great. Oh, you guys are coming over? Pop a strudel in the oven, you know. So, we had it quite a bit. In Slovenia, it's found pretty much all the time. I wouldn't say that it's for a specific occasion, but in Slovenia have their own style. Everybody has their own little quirks and ways of making it, but pretty readily available. Ooh, I think we're good.
And I'll play a little bit of music here. This is called Mi Semamo Radi.
Oh, yeah. Can you sing too?
Semamo Radi. radi, 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 radi. Mi siamo radi, 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 radi. Mi siamo radi. And just so anyone wants to know, the words translated, mi siamo radi, means we really like each other. We really, really love each other. And this is the song that right now, if I was with Julie, we'd be listening to as she makes strudel, and I plan to figure out how many pieces I'm going to eat.
Oh, anytime, Joe. But you know what? Hey, I can make it for you, but the best is if you learn how to do it yourself.
Okay, Julie. There, see, that's that Slovenian ingenuity, right? So Julie, do you have a preference yourself between the apple and the strudel, or what's your favorite filling?
Oh, my favorite by far is cheese.
Cheese.
And cheese, not as in like Swiss cheese or anything like that. It's a combination of like cottage cheese, ricotta cheese, and if you're lucky enough in Slovenia, they have skuta, which is you get it homemade and fresh up from the mountains.
Oh, geez.
And there's Slovenia and a lot of other places where it's not processed or anything. It's wonderful.
What's it called, Julie? Skuza?
Skuta. It's basically like our cottage cheese. It's just different.
Okay.
It can't really be duplicated here. Let's say that. Actually, there are recipes out there. I think it's buttermilk and something and maybe some vinegar. It's a little bit of a process, but it's not going to be as good as right from the mountains.
Right, of course not.
Anyhow, just to keep you updated, Joe, what I did was I went around because I had some extra dough. I went around it and trimmed it off so I don't have too much to work with. I'm going to cut my corners for when I roll it up, and it'll just make it easier. But yes, if you ask what's my favorite, I would say that. Second is cherry, then apple. Like so much apple strudel in the house growing up. I like the different flavors. And honestly, this can be filled with savory flavors. Have you ever had spinach strudel, Joe?
No.
Oh, spinach strudel or mushroom strudel. It gives it a whole different spin. It's a good savory flavor, you know. Okay. Another thing you'll notice is we use a lot of butter. Slovenians use a lot of let's say maybe not low fat, but very flavorful ingredients.
Yes. Well, butter's one of the 4 food groups in Slovenia.
Yeah, there you go.
It's strudel, butter, klobasa, and something else. I forgot.
Liquid beverages. How's that?
Yes.
So what I have here is just melted butter, and I'm just sprinkling it all over. A lot of people do things different ways. I've seen ladies that have made strudel that have, you'll see we put breadcrumbs on. Some just put it in one area, some put it here and there. But you know what? It's all preference. Put it this way: you're putting great ingredients in there, so when you mix a bunch of good stuff together, you can't go wrong.
Right.
And that's what I'm going to do now is put my breadcrumbs on.
Oh, so you do put on breadcrumbs, Julie? I
do, and I like to put it on the whole thing because there's a few reasons we use it. When you're making apples or any fruit or really any ingredient, it's going to have a lot of liquid.
Yeah.
So when you cook it, you're going to get a lot of liquid. So I think the breadcrumbs kind of help with holding that liquid inside so it doesn't all sneak out of your edges, because we all know that that's the good stuff. That's one reason. Another reason I've been told is when you're rolling, it kind of keeps the dough from kind of keeps the layers separated instead of having them all stick together and then you get clumps of dough. So, like I said, some people like to just put it on one corner, one edge, whatever. I go crazy.
Mm-hmm. That's great.
And as you see, there's not a ton of ingredients that goes into this or the fillings either. The opening here is apples that I've already obviously prepared. And in my apples, I put cinnamon. Some people like cinnamon, some don't. I like cinnamon in my strudel. So there's cinnamon in here, some lemon juice to keep the apples from browning too much. And there's also some lemon zest in here, which is going to give flavor to the strudel.
Julie, what kind of apple do you use? Do you use a green apple or a red apple?
You know what? Again, personal preference. I prefer Melrose works great because that's a great baking apple. But any kind of a baking
you said Melrose apple?
Melrose.
Okay.
Anything that won't get mushy, because you want nice. And you know what? The other thing I do like to do is mix a few different kinds of apples together.
Yeah.
Like you put some maybe that's a little more sour, so that when you bite into it, you get a little bit of sour, you get a little bit of sweets, and so this you're just gonna put along one edge, depending on how you're gonna roll. And like I said, I put a nice little amount of cinnamon in here because I want to taste it when I'm eating my strudel.
Julie, how many strudels would you say that table has made? How many strudels have you made on that table?
Usually I put in my extensions and it stretches out and quite a bit. But my daughter and I made, I think, 13 strips, and we made all the different flavors. So.
Oh my word.
And again, it's one of those things where the more often you do it, the easier it becomes. You get more comfortable with it. Okay. Now we need to add sugar. Some people prefer just to put the breadcrumbs on the apples. Like I said, I like them everywhere. Sugar, I've got a cup. It looks like it's a lot, and it looks like it's a lot when you're pouring it on, but it kind of gets lost, and it gives it just the right flavor. Yeah, because you look at this and you're like, oh my gosh, so much sugar. All right. Now the trick and the fun part is rolling it up. Normally, if I have my daughter help me, we kind of do this together. I cheated a little bit, cut this in half here, and that way I don't have too hard of a time wrapping this up. Okay.
Julie, when you go to Slovenia, where do you go? Do you go all over? Do you go to the city? Do you go to all over the country?
Of course, you go visiting or a little bit of sightseeing. You know, obviously Lake Lea is beautiful. And for anybody that's not familiar with it, it is a church in the middle of. It's on an island with gorgeous bluish green water around it. You take a gondola and you can get to the center, and there's a church in the center there. And it's, to me, that's just the most beautiful place in Slovenia.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I like to stick around the town where my parents came from, which isn't too far from Ljubljana. It's a small town called Moravče. And like I said, my number one goal when I go there is to hang out with the people and just see friends and have a good time. So that's where I feel the most at home, is definitely in Moravče.
Yeah.
Give me a nice straight line on the edge when I go to roll this up.
What do you do with the extras, Julie? Do you save them and make something?
I do. You know what you do? You can, that dough that's left over, you just kind of rework a little bit and let it sit for a little bit and rest, and you can start all over again. So, yeah. I'm adding a little bit more butter because now I've kind of made another layer of dough here. And like I said, I don't want my layers to all stick together.
Julie, how much butter do you use?
It's, you know what, it looks worse than it really is.
It looks delicious. It looks delicious.
Usually about 2 sticks or so. Yeah. But like if we want to get a little bit healthier, we can eliminate some of the butter and, you know, but.
It's calorie free. Strudel's calorie free. It's the only food that you lose weight when you eat it.
Yeah, right. Okay, now comes the fun part. And we're just gonna roll this together. And I have like 2 different tablecloths. The easiest way, honestly, to do this is you're just kind of working with your tablecloths. You're gonna kind of throw it a little bit to start it out with.
Wow, wow.
And then
look how that's rolling, Julie.
just roll, yeah. Nice and easy. I think I'm out of camera shot here. I'm gonna move this back a little bit.
Julie, what kind of tablecloth is that? Just regular, like regular cotton?
Yes, and honestly, these are extremely old, as can be witnessed by the oil stains, even after they've been bleached numerous times. But it's something my mom gave me. You know, she gave me a few, and you just can't find it anymore. But it's just basically a nice thick cotton, like a bed sheet. You know. And definitely got to credit my mom with these, with my learning of strudel. She taught me well. Been doing it as a little girl with my mom, and continue still. She just turned 86 years old yesterday.
Hey, Vesela Roisnidan, Sene Bolsha.
That's right, Sene Bolsha.
Happy birthday, Mama.
You know, I don't want any surprise. I don't want anything. You don't have to do anything for me. But we all went over there last night and surprised her. And she was
God bless her.
You know, there's nothing more important than family, and the family got together, so she was thrilled.
God bless her.
So I've got it rolled up. Now, some people, when you have your whole loaf, whatever you want to call it, roll. Some people you'll see in Slovenia, there's different ways to do this. They'll make like an S shape on their cookie sheet. I prefer just to cut mine. I take the size of the cookie sheet and take some kind of a cutter here. And I'll kind of pinch my dough together a little bit. Cut it. And then one. And we should get about 3 really nice size. Hey. There you are, Joe. And then what we'll do, of course, guess what? It's time for a little bit of that magic, you know, time for butter. We'll put some butter on it so that when it does bake, you will get a nice golden, crispy crust. And these do, like I told you earlier, strudels freeze really well. What I usually do when I bake them is put them in the freezer just uncovered like this for about an hour till everything gets nice and stiff, and then take it out later and wrap it real good in foil or freezer paper or something. And believe it or not, I found strudels in my freezer that are a year old that I have cooked, and they still keep great. I obviously wouldn't suggest that long, and this one happened to just be kind of got lost, I guess.
Well, a strudel in our house wouldn't last a year, Julie. You wouldn't have to put it in the freezer. You'd be lucky if you put it back in the fridge if there was anything left on the plate.
Right.
Julie, when you go to Slovenia, do you feel like there's a can you taste the strudel? Like, is it similar? Like, do you feel like there's that connection, or does it taste different to you when you go there?
I think it's pretty universal, to tell you the truth. Like I said, aside from, you know, some people will even mix a different fruit in here, maybe some type of a berry, like an apple and some kind of a berry.
Yeah.
Like some people choose to use the cinnamon, some don't want to use cinnamon, but for the most part is pretty consistent. So just a few small differences that you would notice. But other than that, so there you go, Joe.
Beautiful.
This is what your product should look like the next time you make it.
Beautiful.
I did make some. So we do have some here that I can show you display.
Oh, look how beautiful that is.
Yeah, it's apple, and I made some cheese also. So these are a little flat because I made them yesterday, but you'll see this is literally what it'll look like size-wise when you go to cook it and everything.
Now, Julie, will you have a glass of wine with them? Will you have a cup of coffee? How do you have it when you have it?
I'm not a huge wine drinker, believe it or not, that coming from Slovenia. My favorite, how about some Tushka Kava? And I happen to want some here.
Every Slovenian loves coffee. Every Slovenian loves coffee.
Staple, Bar Cafe. It's a coffee from Slovenia. And
hey, where do you get that, Julie? Do you get it from Slovenia?
Yeah, you smuggle it home. Well, it's not illegal to bring home, but definitely you fill your suitcase with it to last you for the next time, or if you happen to have a friend going, hey, bring me a coffee, you know. I know a lot of people have looked for it here in the Cleveland area, and not readily available. They have kind of different variations, different brands, but
yeah,
not this. You can order it on Amazon, but it's like $60.
Yeah.
For like 2 little bags or something. So, but yeah, there's a nice market. Anybody want to start importing?
Right.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Julie, so was your mom born in Slovenia?
Both of my parents came from Slovenia. They actually went over to Germany, and they were in a camp there until they went through all the legal channels and the paperwork. Got sponsored by my aunt, my uncle to come over here, and built a wonderful life for us here. You know, opportunities that they wouldn't have had there. They came in 1961.
Wow.
And while they were in Germany, they got married. My older sister was born in Germany, so they traveled over here, and then shortly after a brother, then came me, and then I have another younger sister. So Dad was in construction. He was a carpenter. He built his own homes here. He built both homes that they lived in here. They lived in Euclid originally, and now in Willoughby Hills. And he built both of those houses by himself with, you know, obviously help from other contractors. But yeah, and
that's wonderful.
And I'm really excited because I just recently applied for dual citizenship, and I have all my paperwork turned in and everything, and so I'm waiting for that process till I get approved. If Slovenia wants to approve me. But yeah, I'll be real excited. I'll be celebrating that day. And you know, somebody recently asked me, why are you doing that? You know, what benefit is it to you? And obviously, if you're a Slovenian citizen, if you're a kid or something, they have things like their schooling is free, their college is free, their health care is free, you know, and there's things, I guess, as a citizen that I could pursue, but honestly, I said, I don't need any of that. I don't want any of that. I said, my only reason for doing this is pride, complete pride, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, isn't that so true, Julie? Like when we were raised, like there was such a sense of being Slovenian and what it meant as a, almost like it's cultural, but it's also like the way that you look at the world and the way that you treat other people. It's definitely it's such a deep part of people who are Slovenian.
Oh, definitely. And Cleveland, we're the Slovenians here in Cleveland. We're so lucky. I mean, I hear all the time when I post on Facebook different events that we have here, and I've had some of my friends that live in Slovenia say, "Oh my gosh, you guys celebrate and do more Slovenian things there than we do here." Because for them it's probably like us. A lot of things just become routine. But
That's right.
here in Cleveland, there's just such a pride for our heritage, and there's different events and groups, and yeah, I see it now with my kids that are all older teenagers, or yeah, older teenagers, young adults, and they're like, "Mom, why didn't you teach us Slovenian?" And it's like, Cleveland again is fortunate enough to have a few different places where you
Yeah.
can learn the Slovenian language. There's two um, Slovenian schools for the youth on Saturday mornings, one at St. Vitus, one at St. Mary's. There's adult Slovenian classes, I believe, that are held down at St. Vitus. And we're fortunate enough to have Luca
Yeah.
here in the Cleveland area, who is a college professor and teaches a college course through Cleveland State University.
Right. Julie, if somebody wanted to order a strudel from you, is there a website that they can go to, or how do they hire you? I know you're a caterer, but people are going to be curious and they might want to buy it.
We have to be friends. That's it.
Yeah.
Your best bet, honestly, is there's many very talented, wonderful Slovenian cooks in the area. Older ladies who make this like nothing, and a lot of times sometimes they sell it. I know my girlfriend Ellie has a bakery. I'm not sure if you're aware of it. It's called My Mom's Bakery, and it's in Sheridan on Cherry Street. And she sells pizzas. She sells strudels. That's one option. Trying to think, and I don't want to leave anybody out. Sophie Mazzi.
Yeah.
Has catering, and that's in Wycliffe. She also does sell pastries and strudels and pizzas and different Slovenian foods.
And I know on Waterloo there by 152nd, the butcher shop sells frozen strudels and pizzas in their freezer.
You're right. They do.
Yeah.
And again, these are made by some of these Slovenian women, and it's sold through Slovenian meat stores or the ethnic meat stores. Yeah.
Well, Julie, we are so grateful to you. Thank you for sharing this beautiful time with us and for giving us your love and this amazing strudel. In Slovenia, we would say najlepša hvala. Thank you so very much. Julie, you are a treasure to Cleveland and to the United States. And I know that when you become a dual citizen, Slovenia will try to keep you, but we will fight for you, Julie, because you are a Clevelander too.
Thank you for those kind words. I'll tell you what, I love my Cleveland, I love Slovenia, and the best of both worlds would be to kind of do what I'm doing now. Live here, got my family here and everything, and spend as much time there on vacations as I can. So.
Well, God bless you, Julie. Thank you for this wonderful gift today. And to all of our viewers today, you just saw a wonderful, beautiful presentation by Julie making delicious strudel from the wonderful nation of Slovenia. And to everyone, we say thank you, and we say God bless you. And Julie, thank you, and God bless you too. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe, and thank you, Global Cleveland, for highlighting all these wonderful different nationalities that make Cleveland such an awesome place.
Thank you, Julie. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Bye.
All right.